Hey guys, watch review of the Casio EDIFICE EFR-S108D-3AVUEF. Not quite the easiest name to, easiest reference to remember. But anyway, welcome back to the Time Bomb channel, guys. Hope all is good in your part of the world. So yeah, EFR, blah, blah, blah. Yes, feel free to mock me, ladies and gentlemen, but I don't get the difference in all these damn codes. EFR, EFV, EFD, EFB, FOF. To me, nicknames and series names help to personalize watches, right? But anyway, kind of thinking that our green-eyed monster today is simply crying out for a far better name than, oh, it's another Casio. So thinking caps on, please, guys. Let me just zoom in there so we can get it up close and personal. All right, I didn't show you what you get in the box, but in the box you get a watch, and you also get a nice little spotty cushion, if that's of interest to you, and then some other bits of paper. I've taken the plastics off already because I was having a look at the dial. I just wanted to see if there was anything on there that I needed to dust off, or alternatively, if I needed to send it back as well. Let's get rid of that sticky thingy off of here, and then we can start kicking off with some bits. I can't see through the camera. Professional watch reviews, as always, on the Time Bombardier channel. Hang on a minute. Okay, so watch review. The title of the video should be "Watch Reviewer Defeated by a tiny little bit of cotton getting caught up in the links of a bracelet." Moving on swiftly. So the EDIFICE range is one that has never really gotten that much of my attention. I think this is the first review of an EDIFICE on the channel. The Nismos have always grabbed my attention, but I've never found one at a decent price. So today's review is a little bit of a thanks to Nick over at Nick Beck's Watch Reviews for his continued persistence in suggesting that I check the EDIFICE range out, and I finally get round to do it. This green-eyed beauty, I think, is a recent-ish addition to the EFR range, and I think you'll agree straight out of the box. I mean, looking at it here, it has a lot of easy eye candy appeal, and also it's very budget friendly appeal also. Let's start off with some key speccage. So we're looking at 40 mils across, add a couple of mils then obviously for your crown here, and then actually sitting within the dial. So the dial itself has an aperture of 32 mils, so I'll give you an idea of the depth width of the bezel itself also. It's a shade under 50 mils north to south, and you'll notice that you've got the male end link there just popping out a fraction here, which makes it a little longer than that. It is wafer thin slim at just 7.8 mils only. So yeah, it's a wrist hugger, without a shadow of a doubt. Watery goodness, as you might be able to see on the dial there, is set at 100, and the crown is a push-pull only, so probably better to stay out of the jacuzzi when you're wearing this. It's obviously a quartz, and Casio suggests you get about 3 years worth of battery life out of that. Again, Casio haven't really broken any design boundaries here, and clearly doffing their Genta caps, and probably one of the reasons why is because it works. I mean, any angle that you look at this, and it is just very, very, very cool indeed. Yeah, visually, it just works perfectly. I think the octagonal bezel over those sturdy brushed lugs is just a brilliant combination, and then obviously the dial itself just pops out beautiful. These things are, sell like hotcakes accordingly. So rather than just wax lyrical, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to start with all the gripes. I've got quite a few about the watch. I'm going to try and measure them considering the price point of these things. Let's start with the first one, and that is the polish on this side of the bracelet, probably covered in my fingerprints. So let's just give them a little bit of a wipe. But the ends of the bracelet there is highly polished, and I don't really see the point of that, because if you look at the way it joins, so the sides, the case flanks are brushed, and then you just go meh into some polishing there. It just really doesn't fit at all. It's imbalanced. Surely, you know, I mean, what was I thinking? Yeah, so I read somewhere recently that the polishing on watches is typically what costs brands, production companies more in the production process. So surely the easy option there would have been, don't spend the money on making that polished and invest some more money in the damn clasp. I mean, it's flimsy and weak at best. And then another point, and I'll throw up a close-up here so you can see it a little bit more. Spend some money on the finishing on those damn folds in those links. They are hideous. What else did I dislike about the watch? The addition of sapphire on the, the addition of sapphire on the dial I find a little bit redundant. I mean, come on, Casio, get over yourselves. It says sapphire on the back. It says sapphire on the packaging. It says sapphire on the ticketing. It's like they can't believe that they've managed to include sapphire on this watch. It's like, okay, guys, yeah, move on. The bracelet itself, again, looks really, really nice. The brushing on it is fantastic, and it is not a hair plucker on wrist, but yet it's really, really jingle bells. And as you expect for the price, you get those horrible, annoying little push pins. But again, it's price point that's dictating that, I'm guessing. Right way up would help. So then the next gripe on my list is the date window. Yes, it's that small that you may have actually missed it, but rest assured it is down there somewhere. I normally rave about colour match date wheels, saying put them on, but I'm thinking that in this case it actually backfires, because the white font on the date window is so faint. I find it really difficult to see. You know, you hold it at arm's length, and you know it's impossible to see. My arm's bent here away from the camera as well, so it's not at full stretch. You wouldn't be able to see it. So yeah, the only way I'm able to see the date is actually by bringing it up close to me. I don't use the dates on watches other than digis, really, so it's not that much of an issue for me. I'm just flagging it up so you guys are aware of it. The second hand, as you may have seen, it sort of hits the markers. It's not as good as on, say, for example, my Marlin over here. The Marlin over here, it hits everything with aplomb. This one is a little bit mixed. And yeah, you know, if you consider this costs almost double what the Marlin costs, I mean, again, how do they work that one out? Anyway, if you're still watching, let's move on to some of the good things. I mean, the green dial, I mean, to me, it's just the twinkling star of this watch. It is excellent. That sunburst is really, really enough to make me want to keep the watch. That green colour is fantastic. I was thinking about getting the blue to do a comparison also, but the more I looked at the green, I just thought, yeah, so many people have blue dials, let's get something different on. The other thing I like about it, just under the 12, is the Edifice logo. It's sporty-ish enough, and I think it's subtle enough as well that it allows the dial to work. It sits well on that green dial. It's sporty, you know, over that dressy sunburst green, but I think the combination works quite well. Added to that, you know, that slim profile, as I was suggesting before, I mean, it's just an absolute wrist hugger. Slips under any cuffs. You know, this is an office wear delight. While I'm rambling on, let's throw it on wrist. I haven't sized the bracelets yet. I'll do that for some wrist shots later. But yeah, I mean, it just sits perfectly. I mean, so weight wise, dimensions wise, my wrist is 7 1/4. I mean, the watch works and does everything that you want it to. In addition to which, see, the camera will pick this up, you get a quite decent signed crown, Seiko WTF. The case back is simple. Again, I'll pop up a close-up shot there, because the one thing I couldn't see on here is normally what's indicated on the backs of cases is where the watch was cased or made. No reference at all on this one. You do have good access in there to the spring bars. So easy if you were thinking of swapping the bracelet out. I've not considered any bracelet options yet, obviously because of the way it's integrated. So please, if you've got some suggestions, give us a shout out down below, because I think that's a big issue on this watch. The other aspect that I like about the watch is legibility. The way that the hour hands, the hour hand, minute hand, etc., reflect the baton slivery markers, I think, you know, makes legibility, time telling very, very simple indeed. Notice also then that the seconds hand is all stainless steel, silvery on this one, as opposed to, I think it was it yellow or gold on the or orange on the black ones? I can't remember. The rehaul on the dial as well, it's just curves in a little bit with the minute track, adds another layer into that, which I think is decent. The vertical brushing on that bezel, again, I'll add some close-up shots here, is done very, very well indeed. Although something I did find a bit curious, if you look up close here, you can see that the screws actually sit under the bezel a little bit, so I'm assuming that the bezel has been put on afterwards. Meaning that you don't have access to those screws. I don't know if that's a pop-on or a screw-on bezel. I'm just taking it out of the box this morning. I haven't thought about unscrewing the bezel just yet. So let me know if you've done that and what happens if you do. But the other thing I wanted to reference, if you look at the 4 screws around here, they align perfectly into the center. My God, you look at brands, you know, you can buy watches that cost £1,000 and the screws on the outside don't align. So, you know, hats off to that. I mean, what a brilliant little touch. Talking of the crown, I mentioned earlier, the action, as you can see there, it's very, very squishy and delayed. The action of the crown on the Duro is far better. It moves straight away. There's no sloppiness or anything on that. This one, yeah, it's just a little bit slow and loose to engage. You get like a quarter turn before it actually starts doing anything. Sorry, a quarter turn, maybe say a 5th turn before it starts doing anything. So again, there is loom on here, but I think it's an area where they've cut corners, because whilst it looks good initially, it just doesn't last at all. And then with a couple of minutes, you almost can't see it. So again, it's a cost-cutting aspect, but again, there are very few Casios in the last couple of years that I've been looking at them that have got brilliant loom, when you've got to spend a lot more money to get decent loom on Casios. However, considering the Casio lineup and comparing it to watches of theirs that I've bought in the last couple of months, this is way better than the hype monster that is the MPT 1302. I think this one, it still has flaws, but in general, in general terms of attention to quality, it's a tiny step up, and I think as a consequence it's certainly worth the few extra yen, and I don't think it'll be such a scratch monster that the MTPs are. I think in conclusion though, really the biggest fail to me on these under £100 sort of Casios is the design brief itself. They make such cool watches. I mean, this thing is just brilliant to look at. It's really, really, really nice. Great design, such an easy wearer, and then they just fob you off with a shitty bracelet. And why? Why do they feel the need to do that? Just spend a couple more quid getting a better bracelet together. Cost cutting though clearly isn't affecting them too badly, because these things, they sell shed loads of these things, so maybe the issue is just mine. Yeah, me and my issues. Well, that's a topic for another video. Anyway, over to you guys. What do you reckon? Look forward to your thoughts down below. Thanks as always for your time and for your view. And if you're watching this just at the end of 23, wishing you and yours all the best in 2024. Cheers, guys.